Alright, so this is a quick review for your tutorials. It's going to be over TEKS 6.6a, metals, nonmetals, and metalloids. And it's actually there to see if a student can compare metals, nonmetals, and metalloids using physical properties such as luster, conductivity, and malleability. So let's do a quick review. Luster is the ability of an object to reflect light, and conductivity is the ability of an object to conduct electricity, which is move electrons around. And then malleability is the ability for that object to be hammered into thin sheets. So the first thing we're going to start out with is just an observation. We're going to start with our metals. But we do want to do a quick review. What does our periodic table look like? Now this is from 6th grade, so you guys in 8th grade, I know you've seen this before. Blue is our metals, and down here we have our intertransition metals. Up here at the top left, number 1, of course, is hydrogen. It is a gas, but it does have one proton, so it's over there by itself. We do have our stair step that showcases our metalloids right there in orange. Okay, and over here on the right hand side we have our nonmetals that are going to be in purple. So we're going to go ahead and start out with identifying our metals. And let's just start out with something simple. Again, this was from the 6th grade lab you guys did a couple years back. Obvious things, metallic luster. So this is shiny. If I tilt it just right, it's reflecting that light, so we can say, yes, this does have a metallic luster. This can be easily bent, so it's definitely malleable. And we're going to look to see if this one conducts electricity. Now, we used this device a couple years back, and if you guys remember, if something does conduct electricity, both of those lights will light up. So let's test aluminum to see, and you can see that, yes, both lights do come on. So this example, aluminum, it is a metal, and we know that because of metallic luster, malleability, and it does conduct electricity. So let's go ahead and try a non-metal. For this one, we're going to use this bright yellow example. It's sulfur. That's periodic table number 16, element number 16 there. So we're going to go through the same set. This does not have a shiny luster. Notice in my hand here, it's kind of dull. It's just kind of hanging out there. It is brittle. We took a small piece and broke it off, so we're comparing what would be the anti-malleable, and I cannot hammer this into thin sheets. It just breaks into smaller chunks. So this is not malleable. This is brittle. And it's an insulator, which means that it cannot conduct electricity. So let's check out push our 2 prongs down, and nothing happens. So we know that this is an insulator. It does not conduct electricity. All right, so we have metalloids left over. Our example for metalloids is going to be silicon. It's element number 14. All right, we talk about metallic luster. If you take and add a little bit of light to this thing, look at that, it just lights right up. So this has a very high luster. It's actually kind of a pretty example. It is brittle. Now I'm not going to break this example to show you because we don't have a whole lot of that left, but this breaks the same way the sulfur does. But that's odd, right, that it would carry both properties of metallic luster, which is a metal, and it is brittle, which is typically a non-metal. So now we're combining those physical properties. And as far as it being a conductivity, we're going to go ahead and test it again. And you can see that it does light up the red indicator light. The green one, if I push hard, it does light them up. It doesn't light them up as brightly as it did with the aluminum, but this is a semiconductor. Don't forget that word semiconductor. They use it a lot on the tests. That means that it does conduct electricity, but it can be turned on and off, properties that you'll find inside of your electronic devices. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to jump back and throw in some examples and do quick tests on those. And let's see here. All right, we'll start out with an unknown metal. So we're going to test it first. Does it have high luster? Yeah, I would say it does have high luster. You can tell there. I'm going to add my iPhone light, and it does have some high luster. Okay, very shiny. It is malleable. Okay, it's easily bent into other shapes. And lastly, we're going to test to see if it is conductive. Okay, and it does conduct electricity. All right, so we know that this is a metal. I will go ahead and identify it for you as Zn. That is zinc, and excuse me, zinc is number 30 on the periodic table, so this is a metal. All right, we got one more here that we're going to try to identify. So just based on its color, it is dark, it's a solid, it is definitely brittle. Again, I don't want to break a chunk of this off, but if I could show you, The first thing we're going to look for to see if it has high luster and it has a dull luster. The next thing is that it is brittle. And lastly, we're going to test for conductivity. And sorry, I'm covering that up. And you can tell right there that this does not conduct electricity. All right, this sample right here, it is a non-metal because it does have a dull luster, it is brittle, and it does not conduct electricity, therefore it is an insulator. And this happens to be number 6, which is carbon. All right, so I hope that quick review jogs your memory a little bit from 6th grade science, and you can figure out metals, non-metals, and metalloids based on physical properties.